I wanted to get everything in, but you really can't put 400 years of oppression into a speech, can you?
Okay.
Imagine if you lived in a country where you were killed because of the color of your skin. Killed for jogging, walking home, driving, babysitting, sleeping, selling CDs, going shopping, wearing a hoodie, having a broken taillight, having a cell phone, or reading a book in your own car. Imagine. You would say that this is a lawless country. Welcome to America. But where are we headed? Well, I believe where we're headed is somewhere where unity and love rules over all. Where you no longer see or look at me as a black man, and I no longer see or look at you as a white man or a white woman. But what I see is a soul. What I see is a brother or a sister. What I see is divinity expressing itself in physical form. But before we actually arrive to this destination of love and unity, we must endure the birthing pains of a new earth. We must discuss the uncomfortable and suppressed, the systematic racism that plagues not only our country, but our minds. In the past few days, I've sat and I've talked with a lot of my white friends and colleagues, and they would share with me how they were not aware that the racism and prejudice exist to the degree that it does today. And perhaps that's because most of you, or some of you, live in this bubble. And this is not to come down on your success or to come down on your come up. But most of you live in this bubble of protection. And this privilege is your protection. You have the privilege to choose. The privilege to jog in a neighborhood that you please. You have the privilege to say these worldly issues on racial injustice and brutality do not affect you. And in fact, it makes you uncomfortable. So you don't want to talk about it. But I don't have that privilege. First, as a black man, I cannot choose to see our own brothers and sisters innocently killed and do nothing when this is supposed to be the land of the free and innocent until proven guilty. Choose not to speak up and not use my voice and say, no, this is not the way. I don't have that privilege. And you shouldn't either. I believe that's why some of you are out here today. Because even though you may not understand, you want to understand. Because now you see just how blind you were. So thank you. Thank you for seeing past your privilege today in order to see us all as one. Thank you for stepping out of your comfort zone. How did humanity stray to such a point where a man can kneel on another man's neck for 9 minutes as he screams out, "Mama, I can't breathe. Mama, I can't breathe." How far has humanity gone? How wrapped into our own ego and materialism and own worlds have we become? How much have we, as one, not healed the lineages of ancestral trauma? Externally, we have evolved. We have smartphones. But internally, we have not. Collectively, we have all dropped the ball. We have let political parties create barriers between us. We have let the media create barriers between us. We have let religious institutions create barriers between us. Black, white, rich, poor, create barriers between us, leaving a lack of visual empathy for all beings. The labeling is why so many of us are in mental prisons today. Because when you label, you judge. So go ahead and today and free yourself of the programming of society. Creating a new earth not only begins within our own community, but within our own hearts and homes. The first 7 years of a child's life is programmed to believe in separation, which is the biggest illusion ever created. When the riots and looting began, you heard more about how unfortunate this was for the public and people's safety. And that resulted in a curfew. But where was George Floyd's safety? Trayvon Martin's safety? Eric Gardner's safety? Oscar Grett's safety? And Sandra Bland's safety? I believe the rioting and looting is a symbolic expression of the hatred, pain, anger, frustration that has been given upon our community for hundreds of years. We can always rebuild, but the targeting and racial profiling have left many homes motherless and fatherless. There's no coming back from that. And lastly, I think America must see the riots do not develop out of thin air. Certain conditions continue to exist in our society, which must be condemned as vigorously as we condemn riots. MLK. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Light can only do that. So it is time for us to start being the light instead of letting the rage, hatred, and frustration overpower us all. We are all here to heal the lineages of ancestral trauma. We attract what we judge until we no longer judge what we attract. We attract what we judge until we no longer judge what we attract. We have to change the way we live. We have to change the way we treat each other. What are you going to tell your children, your grandchildren, you did during times of racial injustice and modern day lynching? Are you going to say you did nothing, or that you use your voice as a platform to make a stand and to stand in love and unity? Because that is how we cross the bridge to love overall. Thank you.